The View co-host Sunny Hostin's husband, Emmanuel Hostin, has been accused of federal insurance fraud.
Sunny Hostin, her husband accused of committing federal insurance fraud in a lawsuit.
All right, buckle up because this story is loaded with twists, turns, and a dose of irony that you just can't make up. If you've been following the endless drama swirling around The View and its co-hosts, then you already know they're no strangers to controversy. But this time the spotlight isn't just on Sunny Hostin's fiery opinions or her on-air clashes. Nope, Sunny's sitting front and center in a storm of her own making, and it's got everyone talking.
Today's video comes to us from Sunny Hostin. Sounds like a town. We're in Sunny Hostin. She was on PBS's Finding Your Roots, a show dedicated to researching celebrity ancestry. For context, Sunny is a staunch supporter of reparations and has made a fortune spewing nonsense about white privilege and racial justice.
So let's kick this off with a revelation that's got jaws dropping everywhere. Sunny Hostin, who's built an entire reputation on being a moral compass, calling out injustices and holding everyone accountable for their past, just got caught in one heck of an ironic twist. It came out that Sunny's own ancestors were slave owners. Yeah, you heard that right. The very system she's passionately condemned. Turns out it's part of her own family history, and boy, did Greg Gutfeld have a field day with this one. Now, if you know Gutfeld, you know he doesn't pull punches. He's made a name for himself as the guy who takes celebrities, especially the ladies of The View, and holds their feet to the fire. And this time, he came in swinging. During a segment on his show, Gutfeld dove right into the hypocrisy of it all, pointing out that Sunny, who spent years demanding accountability from others, seemed pretty eager to sweep her family's uncomfortable past under the rug. If you're going to shame others for their ancestors' actions, Gutfeld quipped with a trademark smirk, then you better be ready to take a long, hard look in the mirror. The audience couldn't hold back their laughter, and honestly, neither could the internet. Social media exploded with memes, jokes, and comments that ranged from biting sarcasm to outright mockery. One viral post summed it up perfectly. So does Sunny owe herself reparations now? The irony was just too thick for people to ignore. And for someone like Sunny, who's never shied away from making bold statements, this revelation hit like a ton of bricks.
So how are you feeling, my friend?
I think it's actually pretty interesting that my husband and I have shared roots.
Yeah.
So I do appreciate that. And I think it's great for our children to know this information. I guess it's a fact of life that this is how some people made their living, on the backs of others.
But what made it worse, oh yes, it gets worse, was Sunny's reaction. Instead of addressing it head on, she brushed it off like it was no big deal. Just a fact of life, she said, as if that was supposed to make it all go away. And that, our friends, is where she lost a lot of people. For someone who's made a career out of demanding accountability, this casual dismissal felt like a slap in the face. If she had taken this as an opportunity to reflect, maybe even admit that history is messy and complicated for everyone, things might have played out differently. But nope, she sidestepped it entirely, and the backlash came roaring in.
You're right. Anytime she says something stupid, I'm gonna go, slave owner!
But wait, there's more. Because while Sunny was busy dodging questions about her own hypocrisy, another storm was brewing, one that had nothing to do with her ancestry and everything to do with her husband. Drew Emmanuel Hostin, a respected orthopedic surgeon, is now tangled up in a legal mess that's almost too wild to believe. We're talking about one of the biggest RICO lawsuits ever filed in New York, with allegations of insurance fraud and illegal kickbacks. And yes, Drew Hostin is right in the thick of it. Here's the gist of the lawsuit. Drew Hostin is accused of performing unnecessary surgeries and billing insurance companies for them, all while allegedly accepting under-the-table payments disguised as dividends. The lawsuit claims that these surgeries weren't just unnecessary, they were part of a massive scheme designed to exploit the healthcare system. Imagine trusting your doctor only to find out you were a pawn in a money-making operation. That's the picture being painted here, and it's not a pretty one.
Emmanuel denied the allegations via a statement through his lawyer, telling Daily Mail that his client, quote, denies each and every allegation and that the lawsuit is a blanket, scattershot, meritless lawsuit.
The numbers involved are staggering. We're talking hundreds of millions in fraudulent claims, with Drew Hostin and nearly 200 other defendants named in the case. And because this is being pursued under the RICO Act, a law originally designed to take down organized crime, the stakes couldn't be higher. If found guilty, the financial penalties alone could be astronomical, not to mention the reputational damage. What's even more shocking is that this isn't the first time American Transit has been accused of playing dirty. The insurance company has faced legal challenges of its own, including a lawsuit from Uber earlier this year that alleged a pattern and practice of failing to resolve claims fairly. Sunny herself has pointed to this history, claiming that the lawsuit against her husband is nothing more than a smear campaign designed to deflect attention from American Transit's own shady practices. But whether this is a valid defense or just a distraction tactic is something only the courts will decide.
And it's a very serious crime. In fact, it's one of the largest, if not the largest, RICO case in New York's history.
Meanwhile, legal experts are weighing in, and they're split on how this case could play out. Some argue that RICO lawsuits of this magnitude are notoriously difficult to prove, requiring an overwhelming amount of evidence to connect all the dots between the defendants. Others, however, believe that the sheer scale of the allegations, nearly 700 pages of claims, makes it impossible for everyone involved to walk away unscathed. For Hostin, even if he's not found guilty, the reputational damage alone could be devastating for his medical practice, not to mention the strain this places on his family. And let's not forget the timing of all this. With Sunny already under fire for her ancestors' history, the added weight of her husband's legal troubles is a 1-2 punch that could shake her public image for years to come. Critics have been quick to point out that this case undermines the very foundation of her platform, calling out corruption and demanding accountability. After all, how can someone preach integrity on national television while facing questions about what's happening in their own household? It's a messy situation, and the ripple effects are only just beginning.
It does not look well when your name ends up with 200 people in a RICO investigation. This is the biggest investigation since Giuliani shook the tree and a bunch of mobsters fell out, right? This is big stuff. And so, and thank you for bringing that video. It sure is ironic that she's up there. So, but
of course, Hostin's legal team isn't taking this lying down. His lawyer, Daniel Thwaites, called the lawsuit meritless and accused the insurance company, American Transit, of trying to deflect blame for its own failures. This is nothing more than a near-bankrupt insurance carrier lashing out to avoid paying its bills, Thwaites declared. But let's be real, when you're facing accusations this serious, no amount of legal spin can make the controversy disappear. And here's the kicker. Sunny Hostin, who's always been quick to demand transparency and accountability from others, has been eerily silent about the whole thing. Sure, she's issued a few vague statements defending her husband, but where's the fire? Where's the passion she brings to every other topic? For someone who's never hesitated to call out wrongdoing, her reluctance to address this head-on is raising a lot of eyebrows.
Oh, he was scamming insurance companies from taxi drivers, Uber drivers, and Lyft drivers. He was performing unnecessary surgeries and then providing fraudulent medical services in exchange.
Now, let's circle back to The View, because you know this drama didn't stay off the table for long. The tension was palpable during a recent episode when Sunny's co-host seemed to tiptoe around the subject. Whoopi Goldberg, usually quick with a quip, looked like she didn't know where to begin. And when the topic of accountability came up, oh, the irony, the awkward silence was deafening. Meanwhile, Greg Gutfeld and his panel were having the time of their lives. Guess Sunny's next segment should be about shaming herself, one of them joked. The laughter was relentless, but beneath the humor was a pointed critique. How can someone who's so vocal about holding others accountable suddenly go quiet when the spotlight's on them? And if you thought the drama ended there, think again. Because while Sunny and her husband were dealing with their respective controversies, The View stirred up even more outrage by taking shots at none other than Carrie Underwood. Yep, the country music superstar found herself in the crosshairs simply because she agreed to perform at a presidential inauguration. For most people, singing at an inauguration is a huge honor, a chance to celebrate the country and bring people together. But not for the ladies of The View. They slammed Carrie for normalizing someone they didn't support, accusing her of making a political statement just by showing up. The backlash was immediate, with fans rushing to Carrie's defense and calling out the hypocrisy of canceling someone for simply doing their job. One fan even commented, "The View needs to be taken off the air. These women are disgusting." Harsh? Maybe. But it's clear that a lot of people are fed up with the double standards and performative outrage that seem to dominate the show. Another fan chimed in, "I always watch Greg Gutfeld because I like the way he goes after celebrities, especially The View." And honestly, can you blame them? Gutfeld's takedown of Sunny and her co-host wasn't just entertaining, it was a masterclass in calling out hypocrisy.
Of Sunny Hostin on The View, Tom, basically implicating her husband in this type of a scheme.
So where does this leave Sunny Hostin? Well, she's at a crossroads, no doubt about it. Does she finally address the controversies head on, or does she keep hoping they'll blow over? Either way, the damage to her credibility is already done. And as for Hostin, his legal battles are far from over. The RICO lawsuit is just getting started, and the fallout could be massive.
Oh, but it's just, I mean, Pat, you're married. Tom, you're married. If your husband's doing something, if he's allegedly doing something like this, you guys would know if your wives were up to...
But let's end on a question, because this story is far from over. Do you think Sunny's silence on both her ancestry and her husband's legal troubles is a sign of guilt, or is she just trying to protect her family? And when it comes to The View, is it time for the show to take a hard look at its own accountability? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And hey, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into the biggest celebrity scandals. See you next time.